September 2nd, Dino Sergeant. Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. Dino Sergeant was a man who loved God, loved his neighbor, and loved to farm. He was a faithful man, a man who did the job at hand, cared for the people at hand, and didn't worry himself about getting to the top. Here's his story.
When you value God's people, they begin to feel their worth. The tractor motor roared, and Dino Sergeant kept a steady eye on the horizon, a cloud of heartland dust rising behind him. His heart overflowed with gratitude. How could simply serving God and loving others have led him here? For as long as he could remember, Dino had hoped of being a farmer, and now he was living the dream. As a new resident of a small farming town and a rookie farmer, Dino decided to meet his neighbors. One day, rejecting all the stories about the odd couple who lived in the Little Red Farmhouse, Dino showed up on their front porch, and with a firm knock and a friendly smile, the door opened and a committee greeted him. There was Floyd and Mary and a heap of cats. Dino took Floyd's leathery hand and pumped. A unique friendship began. Dino soon learned that this elderly couple had no children and no one to help them in their time of need. Floyd and Mary's concerns became Dino's to-do list. Everyone has a story, and their story deserves to be heard, Dino often said. From then on, Floyd regularly invited Dino to help on the farm, and Dino was happy to serve. He figured that was what God had created him for and why God had put this love of farming in his soul. But Dino also found a farming mentor in Floyd, and the two men enjoyed a growing bond around their shared love of farming. One chilly spring morning, Dino got up before the sun made its appearance, and he hopped into his truck. He rumbled down the old gravel road to Floyd and Mary's farm, and his coffee splashed in the cup holder. As he stepped out of his truck, Dino smiled and thought it was a beautiful morning, and without being asked, he had stopped by Floyd's to spray his fields for the weeds before going to work. From the farmhouse, Floyd had heard the truck pull up and hurried out to see who was there. Surprised to see Dino, especially at this hour, Floyd walked out onto the field and said, "Dino, I want you to do something for me. I want you to tell me you will take care of Mary if anything should happen to me." Dino was surprised, and with a compassionate smile, "Sure, Floyd, you bet." That was it. A short conversation. They got on with the business of spraying weeds. In the days ahead, Dino invited Floyd to the Stiles Christian Church, where Dino served as an elder. Floyd gave his heart to Christ there and was thrilled to have finally found a church family who accepted him and loved him like Dino. It was this same church family who wrapped their arms around Mary when Floyd unexpectedly passed away. After Floyd's passing, Dino remembered his commitment to his friend and mentor. Dino visited Mary nearly every night, and he brought along caring conversation and a few jokes to brighten her day. He became the son she never had. Whether taking her for Sunday drives around the farm or attending special events at her nursing home, he was doing what he did best, planting seeds of love in God's creation. On one of their many drives around the farmland, Mary said to him, "Dino, I want you to have all of this when I'm gone, all 600 acres. And when she joined Floyd in heaven, she made that happen." To anyone who would listen, Dino would say, joy surely means Jesus first, yourself last, and others in between. Plant the good seeds of righteousness, and you will harvest a crop of love, as it says in Hosea 10:12. Is there someone in your life who needs to be reminded of their value by simply sharing God's love? When you value God's people, they begin to feel their worth. Hey man, Chuck Stecker here. September 2nd, our story today, Dino Sergeant. Great story. I've read this story on multiple occasions and love listening to it as it was narrated. But the main thing, one line in this for me, everyone has a story and their story deserves to be heard. Everyone has a story and you don't know them until you know their story. There's two parts to this in a sense for me. It's not just asking somebody their story, but very often we need to understand that when somebody is willing to share their story, their true story, it's because they trust us. Very simple. People will not share their story and entrust that to anybody that is not trustworthy. So the first thing we have to ask is for the people around us to know their story. Are we leading a trustable life? When we say, hey, tell me your story, do they really trust us that we want to know and that we're sincere? And if we are, then they're entrusting to us something very precious in their life, aren't they? But you know, how many people in your life, you got to ask this question. Do you say, yeah, I know so-and-so, yeah, I know so-and-so, but you don't really know their story. You don't know where they're at. You don't know where they've been. And their story deserves to be heard. They deserve the opportunity to share their story with someone that cares. So here's my challenge. I want you to think about this in the next few days. Just look around and observe. Now, maybe it's your family, your neighbors, your workplace. But who is it there that if somebody said to you, do you know them? You would say, well, sure I do. Do you know their story? That would be a different issue. By the way, for people to say they know Jesus Christ, do you know his story? Because until you know his story, you can't know your story. Hey, listen, God bless you. Have a great day.